don't feel it. This river like the treasure, you know. This is just the water, nothing else.
You have absolutely marvelous flowing rivers on the Balkans. For the hydro lobby, this is the last big market inside Europe. Whenever money comes, normally nature goes.
This is one of the very, very few rivers in Europe which has no reconstruction, which is not straightened down and is not damped.
It's so beautiful river, and vibe changed into something beautiful. It is impossible to imagine this life without river, actually.
The Una is something like the holy river for Bosnia-Herzegovina, so I was always convinced that not the Una.
We have some really hard days behind us. When I finished the war, I don't have nothing. Even my home was destroyed completely, and I start from the bottom. My father lost everything in 2 days. Everything what he building 50 years. House was burned, nothing. He go at the river, wash the face and say, everything is okay now. That's it. I'm born 20 meters of the river Una, and 5 generations, same place. It's normal that the boy going in the fishing.
Between Slovenia and Albania, we have evidence of about 2,700 hydropower projects. To our knowledge, at this very moment, there's about 70 under construction. It's not an exception, it's the normal brutality that these rivers are facing.
The Una is still untouched. And now we try to save it in this shape. Fishing was my hobby, and I spend a lot of time on the river, also for diving. And I know the place, and some of my friends come and say, Ani, can you show us a good spot how to catch the fish, and bring some another people. And 5 years I just the guiding, and after 5 years the buying the property and the building the lodges and everything. Now I have something. It's not so big, but it's enough, and more enough for my family.
We met Ani the first time on a fishing show in Salzburg when he came to our booth, and he told us about his famous Huchen fishing on the River Una. We've never heard about it, so we were really excited and interested, and visited him probably half a year or a year later.
This is something new in my country, because when I begin the job, everybody asks me, okay, what you working? I said, I made the guiding, I made the rafting, I made the fishing. I said, okay, that's good, nice idea, but what you working for the leaf? I said, that's it, that's the job.
Actually, when we came down here and saw this river on the first time, it was just impressive. I've traveled a lot all over the world, but I've never seen a river with that kind of structure.
Every 100 meters is different. The trees in the middle of the river, a lot of island. You have some quiet place, deep spots, shallow with the sand.
This river is special because of one thing, of her morphological characteristics. Almost 60 to 70% of the river is covered in sand, and the other part goes to a gravel bottom.
So you have these big rocks, then have shallow places, have some islands, have some trees there, and then suddenly you have these long, deep pools.
The Rome's actually coming first, and when they see this beauty, they say uno, in the Italian words, that means unique, one, only one, and it is only one.
This canyon downwards, it's just amazing. It's an impressive spot to be there. And actually, most of these places in the two canyons, we're just able to reach with the rafting boat. So this combination of mineral and sands and all these rocks, I think it's very unique.
This is the river full of life. For fish, it's full of life.
Inside Una we have collected by now 38 fish species, which is a large variety of species and a large variety of biodiversity, ecological biodiversity compared to other rivers.
There is lots of life in the river, and I think that's because the Una has this unique structure of a river.
The morphological types in the river are repeating itself throughout the river, and that is the advantage why other fish species, not just Hucho, can be found throughout the river. That's amazing, because downstream, for example, you can find a grayling and you can find a brown trout where you wouldn't expect in other rivers. For example, Una is the only place on the world where you can find Welsh catfish and grayling inhabiting the same niche. And that tells you something, that tells you how different she is comparing to other rivers.
Main fish for the fly fisherman, of course, is trout, grayling, and the Hucho.
Huchen is unbelievable nice fish, and it's very difficult to catch it. And it's not for all fishermen.
Hucho is basically a large carnivorous fish, one of the top predators inside the River Una. It feeds mostly on large variety of other fish species, mostly on cyprinids like chub, cactus roach, naze.
Normally, Huchen fishing isn't easy. You have to spend a lot of time to be on the right time on the right place. That's the point. You have to find this feeding fish, this aggressive feeding fish.
The Hucho is basically a native species for the Danube drainage, and here in Una we have one of the last populations that are not influenced by dams or any serious biological or chemical pollution.
Mostly you fish in the winter time. It starts normally in October, goes up to February. Where are you?
When they, let's say, about 1 meter size and they grow slowly, they sometimes just feed once per week or even 2 weeks. So this is also the difficult thing if you want to catch some.
It's coming. See the fish behind. 5 meters behind the fly. You can see he's moving the same direction. Bastard. That's the same. It's easier to get one of the smaller for sure, because this guy's growing up, and it means they have to eat.
Also, they have some special area for the catch and release. Establishment 12 years ago. A lot of fish is there, and that part is very important for whole river, because when the water is going up, fish go up or down, and that means it's very good for the river. And we have the best river in the whole country.
So the same morphology characteristics of the river gave the Hucho an advantage compared to other rivers, because it has a lot of space of hiding, and it has a lot of space for catching prey easily than in other rivers, because she can hide, she can jump out, grab a fish, and get back to the same spot.
In the Danube system, have the many rivers have the Huchen, but not in this number. That is nice in the morning. It's difficult to wake up, but.
In this river, we have documented something that you haven't seen since. We have documented a Hucho schooling behavior, which is really interesting, which basically opens a new doors to research and to understanding this amazing fish.
For this summer months, when is the water a little bit hot, they're going deep hole. A lot of fish is there.
There's unbelievable number of fish, but that doesn't mean that it's easy to catch one. His tactics in hunting other fish is that he usually swims very slowly and very calm in the places where the other fish are feeding. Every little detail that helps him to come close to the fish he wants to feed, he's usually using. So that means that sometimes the night fishing can be much more successful, which, for example, is in the summertime. Summertime means that Huchen, they get more and more active by night. That means they use the darkness to get closer to their food. You know, Hucho are very smart fish. It's probably one of the smartest fish I've ever went for. So it's need a lot of patience, have to invest a lot of time. The most important thing is to be on the right spot, on the right place, in the right time, when the Hucho is willing to feed. Then you can catch one. But then sometimes it's so easy. You just do one cast and get him.
I hooked him on it. I know. We have it. Well done. Ah, look at that.
People were so connected here with the river. 80% of families, as my family, is 5-6 generations living there. And this is the way of life. Una is the part of our life.
It's a kind of place where all the people living down there spend their time off. So if they're out of work, they go there for swimming, they have barbecue, they meet their family there, they meet their friends. And you can see that if you're right in the middle of the town. All the kids, they're swimming around, they're jumping into the water. So they live with the river. They don't just see it and have it on their side, but they live with the river. They really include that to their way of life every day.
The living together actually is the one. People and the river is the one.
Most of these people in the region are not informed about the dams. I would say the number is 90% of the locals have no idea what is coming. And that is true also for Western European countries that go into the Balkans and do their stuff, and they don't inform them.
People in my city, my place, or complete in this region, you can see that it's the same in Bihać, it's the same in my place, Bosanska Krupa, in National Park, in some villages around the Una. It is impossible to imagine this life without river, actually. You know what is happening when they're building the dam. Today, with this technology, everything, maybe don't need the people. Don't need nobody there. And it's easy to see where the money go. Energy lobby, and the people don't have nothing about it.
There's absolutely no benefit for the locals normally. They promise work, jobs, but all these dams are mostly small-scale dams on the Balkans because the rivers are fairly small. You can manage with one laptop, with one person, 5, 6, 7 dams. So we have that very often, that people think, oh, my son will get a job, and then they're disappointed because they don't get it.
If you think about everything a Hucho needs as a habitat to live there, the Una is offering everything of that. So you have these deep holes, you have the structure, there's a lot of place to hide. There's these deep pools with low current where they can just lay on the bottom.
In Austria you will find for sure good places there, but the most of them are stocked. And in this river are fish natural born, and it's amazing.
If you think about rivers in Austria or Germany, they have good numbers of fish in some regions, but there is no natural part of the river anymore.
It's probably the last paradise for Huchen, these Balkan rivers.
It has one of the highest possible levels of oxygen of all the rivers that Hucho inhabits. And as we know it, all the salmonids like well-oxygenated waters.
Una is the nice place, and people want to see the canyon, to see every spot. So use the rafting boat for that. Drifting at the river Una, check the spot by spot, and that's, for me, is the favorite actually, especially for Huchen fishing.
The other thing why it's so special, because it's probably the biggest salmonid you can catch here in the middle of Europe.
This is the last big area for Huchen species in the world, actually. We found 93 dams projected inside Huchen territory, especially in Bosnia.
If we talk about the problem with the dams, then you need to understand that if the dams get built, it will have a great negative impact for Hucho population inside Una River.
Before the war, Una was quite famous also. I know the many people from Germany, from Austria coming here and know it. But those guys is now the 60, 70 years old people.
In Yugoslavia times, there was a lot of fly fishing there, from elsewhere, Europe, from the US. It was famous, marmorata trout, all these, the soft-mouthed trout, and all these trouts in Huchen.
And what we miss maybe two generation, two. But it's the stay, and especially in wartime in ex-Yugoslavia, the people don't come here, and two generations is growing without any idea about this river. After wartime, we miss this number of the tourists, here, because some people don't have idea this is such a nice river, very close to Europe. Just mostly for 5-6 hour drive with the car, you're coming in the unbelievable nice places. You don't need the flight 10 hour or 15 hours, some nice place. 8 years ago, the government establishment, the National Park Una, and last year they have the 70,000 visitors. That is the 25% more of the year before. Also, the employer in National Park that belongs to this region, and they have the job. I don't know, in this moment in National Park working about 60 people, That's a lot for this region. Also, the government and everybody see it. Actually, the last years they don't feel it, the tourism, like the one part of economy. That's the problem. And I like to say that the things is changing last year.
Ono što je moje mišljenje i što mi u Bosanskoj grupi razmišljamo i mislim da treba uraditi, rečeno u strategiji razvoja općine Bosanska grupa, gdje je turizam i rijeka Una treba da bude jedan od nosilaca razvoja općine Bosanska grupa u narednom periodu. A sa tim sredstvima koje bi ulagalo u hidrocentrale, te kapacitete možemo vrlo brzo postići. Na taj način stvoriti uslove da u ovome toku rijeke Une možemo primiti po nekoliko hiljada ljudi. Da se razumijemo, mislim da bi to na kraju donio puno veći benefit i lokalnoj zajednici, državi i naravno građanima koji žive u toku rijeke Une.
I think we have to go in this way. Actually, we're going in this way. This part of Bosnia, north part of Bosnia, we have a lot of beautiful river, and I think this is our big advantage.
And that is a big potential. And I would be glad that if we could develop a tourist form that does not destroy the nature, and fly fishing is normally a good thing for that. Your potential is not industrial development. Your big thing is nature. If you want to climb, you go Bosnia. If you want to walk through the forest, go Bosnia. If you want to fly fish, go Bosnia. And they're about to ruin all of this for nothing. Because in the end, only the investor has the money, and that's it.
Actually, it's very difficult to imagine this river, especially Una with some lake, For me, it will be catastrophe.
What would actually happen if you build a dam on Una? You will actually change the entire morphological characteristics of the river downstream and upstream. And that can only lead to demise of the populations, even for some fish species to disappear, because they cannot adapt to sudden changes in the environment.
We know what has happened with the dams. Europe-wide, fish is not able to going up to spawning, especially salmonid species. Temperature of water is changing, flora and fauna is changing.
The Una, especially in the upper part, there's a lot of dam projects, and sometimes they go away and then they pop up again.
Those fights, I think, will be next 100 years. probably my little boy also, the fighting in this, because this never stopped. This is not the fight for the Una River. This is the fight for all beauty river that exists in Europe and worldwide.
And that in the 21st century, and that with international money and with Western European companies building these things. That is actually the most devastating thing. We have not learned a lesson.
But I know I'm fighting all my life against it. And I'm not alone.